That's Joe Douglas, the Jets general manager, with some high praise for Jets coach Adam Gase. Now, look, let's be fair here. I mean, Chris, you and I have both been defending Adam Gase all week long in the aftermath of the shots that Jamal Adams took at him on Friday that was the precursor to the Jamal Adams trade, although that trade was happening with or without those shots. But we need to be fair and balanced here. Joe Douglas was the hand-picked GM by Adam Gase. I mean, as soon as Mike McCagnon was fired, the first thought was, and the first reports were, that Gase was going to get Douglas in there as the GM. So I don't expect Douglas to dump on Adam Gase. I expect Douglas to defend Adam Gase, but that's a key ingredient to having a successful franchise.
Sure.
The coach and the GM on the same page. The coach and the GM tied together like, the old three-legged race that you would see at a picnic. That's how the coach and the GM have to be. The right leg of one is tied to the left leg of the other, and they either succeed together or they fall flat on their faces. So of all the things you could say about the Jets that they have wrong, and they have plenty wrong that they're trying to remedy, the fact that the coach and the GM are on the same page and they're not going to undermine each other, they're not going to say bad things about each other, they're not going to try to set the other one up to be fired, that's something that plenty of bad teams don't have, and it's one of the ingredients that you need in order to turn a team around.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think you just say the proof's in the pudding. Just look at the teams that have been towards the top of the NFL and in the playoff conversation the last few years. I mean, look, the top three teams in the AFC from last year, that just speaks to it. The Patriots, the Chiefs, the Ravens, bam. Whoa, example. That's it, done there. We just talked about John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan. The New Orleans Saints, been really good the last 4 or 5 years. Mickey Loomis, Sean Payton, bam. The Philadelphia Eagles, what we're seeing there. So your Minnesota Vikings, I know it's not Super Bowls and everything you want it to be, but there's a good relationship there between Spielman and Zimmer. So, yes, this is how a successful organization is built, and that's the way it goes. And yes, sure, like you said, Joe Douglas is going to stick up for Adam Gase. There's a personal history there, and yes, I'm sure he was a big part of hiring him, but that doesn't mean what he said wasn't true. That's what I think bothered, me. What bothered me about last week is just the fact that Jamal Adams, everybody here in New York, oh, he's a big mouth, we need to get over him. And then he talks about Adam Gase, and everyone's like, what he's saying is the word of law. And now let's talk about it because that's real. And it's like, what? And, some idiot local writers up here jumped on the bandwagon with Jamal Adams, and that was, bull crap. But this is a team that was in a crappy situation. And they haven't had talent to support Sam Darnold, and they're trying to build that and an offensive line. And hey, there's a lot to rebuild here. So the defense has got something. There's no doubt about that. And without Jamal Adams, it's still, I think, going to be a good defense. Greg Williams, a good defensive coordinator. It is going to be about Adam Gase and his offense. They were last in football last year. It's got to be better this year. And if it is better this year, I think they're a team that can be a pain in the butt for the AFC East and a lot of the other teams in the NFL.
One is going to come down to the quarterback. Last year, Sam Darnold exited early with mono, and the backup plans were not successful.
No.
Before you knew it, the team had fallen apart. And then Darnold was back that Monday night game against the Patriots where the mic'd up segment had him admitting that he's seeing ghosts, which is not an unrealistic dynamic in football. It happens from time to time. You get confused. And, I think the team made a bigger deal about that than they should have by complaining about the use of the audio. I mean, it happens. It's part of the development. And as Darnold and Gase work together more, we see what Darnold can become. Whatever his ceiling is, Gase is going to get him there because we've seen Gase do that with other quarterbacks. He knows how to get the best out of the guys that he has because he's not going to say, this is my offense, thou shalt run it. He's going to say, what do you like to do? And let's showcase what you do well.
Right. And
let's stay away from the things you don't do well. I mean, he was part of the coaching staff that had to rip up the playbook and come up with something for Tim Tebow back in Denver in 2011, and it worked. They made it to the Final 8 with a guy who had no business playing quarterback in the NFL. So Gase knows how to get the most out of a quarterback, and this is the year where we see how much he can get out of Sam Darnold.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, Sam Darnold's a franchise quarterback. I mean, the big thing is we just got to see Sam Darnold go through the meat and potatoes of the schedule or the really tough part of the schedule. We haven't seen that yet, really. His rookie year, he hurt his foot. He kind of missed, a big chunk of the schedule there and then got to come in at the very end of the season. Last year, by the time he got back in the lineup, the year was over. So the pressure was off the team, but I've liked what I've seen from Sam Darnold, certainly. I mean, really quick release, great feet in the pocket. I know he's smart. He's a good leader, all that. And Adam Gase, Adam Gase, like you said, the offense has everything. But the big thing is the talent there? Is there enough talent there yet for us to really see the true picture of Sam Darnold? Is there enough pass protection? Are guys like Brashad Perryman and Josh Doxson going to help out a Jamison Crowder in that offense this year? I don't know. Those are two guys that were risky value signings. Brashad Perryman showed some talent last year finally. Josh Doxson, a first-round pick who's never developed. But that's how Joe Douglas has had to go about, rebuilding this team a little bit. He did a good job in finding some value signings on the offensive line. But, we don't get to see what Le'Veon Bell and Sam Darnold are really doing or what they're really capable of until there's more talent around them. And I think there's enough this year to see it. So, that'll be the big thing. And I think that's what everybody's going to be watching because Gase is an offensive coach and a guru and all that. Last year, it was an unbelievably tough start of the schedule. Guess what this year, Mike? It's a pretty damn tough start of the schedule. And that's where I just go, man, it's going to be important for them to get off early offensively and as a team to at Buffalo, 49ers come to town, then it's at the Indianapolis Colts, and then the Denver Broncos. I mean, I think those are four teams we all look at and go, damn, I think they're going to be pretty good this year. That's not going to be easy, and it's going to be on Gase and that coaching staff to find some ways, whether it's trick plays or whatever, to jumpstart that team early to give them some confidence and maybe steal one of those wins against a team that is probably better than them.
Hey, when you consider they're playing all the teams of the NFC West and all the teams of the AFC West,
yikes.
It'll be a long year for all of the teams in the AFC East. All right, best case, worst case for the 2020 Jets, considering that schedule that we just looked at.
Yeah, I mean, I don't look at, again, I don't think I can look at the Jets and go realistically think, I think they'll be competing for a wild card spot or something like that. I don't think they're there yet. No. I think they're going in the right direction, but I think realistically I look at it as a team that, maybe was in the wild card race like in mid-November, right? But, just they're not good enough or consistent enough. And I look at like best case scenario being 8-8 or maybe a 9-7, something like that, but not in the playoffs. And then worst case, yeah, I guess I look at it and just go, okay, offense fell apart. Some of these guys didn't work, and they're missing Jamal Adams, and they're back at 4-12 and drafted in the top 5 or 6 in the NFL draft.
But Chris, 8-8 or 9-7
I know.
Put a team in position for
it
that.
It could this year.
Seed.
I know.
Now that we have that 7th playoff seed, I think that what's going to come into sharper focus is that scheduling formula that rotates. Every year, you've got 2 rotations. You're rotating through your own conference every year playing. If you're the Jets, you're playing the North, then the South, then the West. And then you've got the other conference rotation with all 4 divisions. You play all 4 teams. You're going to have that nightmare year from time to time that's going to make it very difficult to compete for a wild card berth. The 4 teams of the AFC East are going to have a hard time this year positioning themselves for that 5, 6, or 7 seed because they all have to play the AFC West. They all have to play the NFC West. And that inequity in scheduling, as we get deeper and deeper into this 7-team field per conference, that's going to become more and more of a talking point. This year it doesn't matter because of the pandemic. In future years, keep an eye on that. All right, we got to take a break. When we return, now that Clyde Edwards-Helaire is the top guy in Kansas City in the backfield, we're going to draft our Offensive Rookie of the Year candidates. We'll do that next here on Pro Football Talk.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.